Where did this game even come from? At first glance, this Flash game looks completely harmless. The presentation is simple, featuring soft pastel colors and a welcoming vibe, as if it were designed for a young audience. But the moment you start playing, something feels deeply wrong. The audio hits you first. There is no background music, just an uncomfortable silence broken by cold, sterile sound effects, making it feel like you're standing inside an operating room. The game revolves around Freak, a stuffed bunny who suddenly begins to suffocate, collapsing right in front of you without explanation. The game instructs you to save him. The premise feels medical, casting you as a doctor performing an emergency intervention. And that's where the discomfort sets in. Your first step is to administer an electric shock to the rabbit. What follows is a series of increasingly disturbing medical procedures. You're told to shave the bunny's stomach, and as you do, you notice bizarre details hidden on his body, like a tattoo that reads, "Mom." Things that have absolutely no business being on a simple plush toy. The cheerful UI stands in stark contrast to what you're actually witnessing. It feels as though something innocent has been warped into something deeply unsettling. The game tells you to work carefully within the affected area, making every single action feel invasive and unpleasant. There's no blood or traditional gore, but the sheer nature of what you are doing breeds a psychological discomfort that is almost worse than any graphic violence. It's the implication that haunts you, the fact that you are subjecting this rabbit to surgical procedures with no anesthesia, for no apparent reason other than to save him. Eventually, you uncover the root of the problem. The mouse cursor is literally trapped inside the bunny. You have to carefully extract it. Once you do, the procedure is nearly complete. The final step is to give him a pill labeled 10 milligrams, and just like that, Fred is saved. But here's the twist. The game ends by showing Freak slowly ascending into the sky. A message flashes on screen. Damnation, enlightenment, spiritual ascension, salvation. What were you actually doing? Was Freak really a victim in need of saving? Or was he something else entirely? The clinical silence throughout the game forces you to question every choice you made. The game is nothing short of mysterious, offering little to no context for your actions. It's also incredibly short, barely clocking a single minute of gameplay, making it perhaps one of the briefest and most bizarre games in the history of Flash Internet. Toogly is another truly baffling case. Released back in 2005, this point-and-click Flash game remains remembered decades later as one of the most intense and unsettling experiences ever crafted in this format. It starts out rather mundane. You play as a young girl walking home from school. Nothing unusual. But the moment you step inside, something is off. The front door is unlocked and ajar when it shouldn't be. The house is eerily quiet. Subtle clues are scattered everywhere, hinting that something terrible has taken place, though it's not immediately clear what. The game doesn't scream the danger at you, it whispers it, forcing you to pay close attention. You begin exploring the house in search of your parents, interacting with your surroundings. Furniture, doors, old photographs. Every single action is followed by a prompt, yes or no. The game constantly forces you to make decisions, but here's the catch. You don't fully understand the consequences of your choices because the game demands these answers on the fly as you press forward. Slowly, the grim reality starts to unravel. You realize you aren't alone. Someone else is in the house. The game introduces the presence of an escaped criminal known as Donald Dimsey, alias Toogly. There are no dramatic encounters, just a growing certainty that danger is lurking, and you are walking right into it, completely helpless to stop it. As you move from room to room, you piece together fragments of what happened before you arrived. The game leaves scattered clues and conversations that help you understand the situation, but there's a persistent, nagging feeling that you're too late, that whatever you're uncovering has already happened. The tension builds gradually until you hit the breaking point. After all that exploration, you find yourself face to face with Toogly himself. What happens next is no mystery. What makes Toogly uniquely effective is just how obscure and lost this game feels. There is almost no information about it anywhere online. It's an old game, over 20 years old now. The slow pacing, the absence of an intense soundtrack, the unsettling graphics, and above all, that choice-driven mechanic wrap the player in absolute dread while actually guiding them toward a predetermined conclusion. In the end, the outcome is always the same. The Red Room takes a slightly different turn because it isn't strictly a game. It's a flash animation that evolved into one of the most disturbing internet urban legends of the early 2000s. A Japanese Flash developer known as Ultra uploaded his work to his personal site. This was back when the internet was painfully slow, and Flash files were an efficient way to share content without it taking an eternity to download. In May 2003, Ultra uploaded a piece that would permanently alter how the online community viewed his work, The Red Room. The animation starts casually enough. Two schoolboys are chatting, and one mentions an internet urban legend about a cursed pop-up window. Supposedly, this pop-up would suddenly appear on your screen, asking, "Do you like the Red Room?" Anyone who saw it would inevitably become the next victim of an undefined fate. It was just an urban legend, an online ghost story. Skeptical, the other boy decides to investigate when he gets home, searching the web to see if there's any truth to it or if it's just a hoax. And then he sees it. The pop-up flashes onto his screen, exactly as described. He tries to close it once, twice, repeatedly, but it won't go away. It stays there, mocking his helplessness. But if the legend were true, at that exact moment, the animation displays a list. The names of all the pop-up's previous victims scroll across the screen, with the boy's name waiting at the very bottom. The animation then takes a truly horrific turn as an unknown entity appears and kills the boy, literally painting the walls with his blood. The imagery is graphic and shocking. What makes The Red Room such an effective piece of internet horror is that Ultra added an extra layer of real-world terror to the experience. If you watched the animation on the original GeoCities site, the moment it ended, an identical pop-up would actually trigger in your own web browser. The first thing you'd see after that was a prompt about the Red Room. Later, in June 2004, it was discovered that an 11-year-old girl who had committed a notorious murder had the Red Room animation saved as a bookmark on her computer. Suddenly, the Red Room ceased to be just an edgy internet horror experiment. It was tied to a real-life tragedy. The line between fiction and reality, already blurred, vanished entirely. Following the incident, Ultra vanished from the internet. His last known activity was a forum reply in late 2003, years before his creation was linked to the crime. The creator never posted again, never clarified if he knew what happened, and never explained the meaning behind his work. He simply walked away, leaving behind a piece that became far larger and more sinister than anything he could have ever anticipated. The Red Room is a fascinating case because it illustrates how a work of horror can transcend its original intent and bleed into reality itself. Decades later, most people don't even know where it originated. Some mistook it for an abandoned or lost game, but the reality is far more unsettling. An animation that, entirely by accident, wound up intertwined with a real-world crime. Leah's Secret Boyfriend is a remarkably complex case. This game presents itself as a digital horror series heavily inspired by retro Flash games and titles like Doki Doki Literature Club. At first glance, it has all the hallmarks of an innocent visual novel centered on a secret high school romance. The aesthetic is bright and colorful, almost aggressively cheerful for what it eventually unfolds into. The developer is known for crafting psychological horror projects masked as harmless games. The game boots up with a loading screen laying out the premise: you meet a charming girl. One day, the popular boy at school confesses his feelings to her, and surprisingly, she feels the same way. Now they are dating in secret, hiding their romance from their nosy classmates. The game tasks you with helping Leah keep this relationship under wraps, making sure nobody finds out, playing out much like a typical high school drama. Yet, something about the presentation feels inherently wrong. The main menu features 3 levels, though only the first is unlocked, clean Leah's room, help Leah bake, and find Leah's boyfriend. In the first level, Leah's friends are coming over to work on a group project. You need to help her hide all evidence of her relationship before they arrive. Leah has to track down a specific checklist of items. A photo of her boyfriend, a picture of the two of them together, his hoodie, a diary, and a love letter. Everything proving the secret romance exists. As you scour the room for these items, a sense of unease creeps in. Why is it so crucial that these things stay hidden? Why is Leah so intensely obsessed with secrecy? It's just a simple flash game, but there is an underlying urgency to how it guides you. Once you clear the first level, the game praises you. Great job! You managed to hide all the items from her friends. You move on to the second level. It's Valentine's Day, and Leah wants to surprise her boyfriend by baking him special cookies. But there's a catch. Her roommate is home. The goal is to finish baking without getting caught. You have to manage a progress bar while Leah pretends to wash dishes, capitalizing on the moments her roommate is distracted to work on the cookies. The level wraps up successfully with the text, "Leah finished baking the cookies with no trouble at all, thanks to you." Then comes the third level. Leah needs to deliver the cookies to her boyfriend, but once again, she must avoid her classmates' suspicion. They've agreed to meet in a secret spot. The game provides a map, and you must guide Leah through the school hallways, ensuring she stays out of sight. Finally, after careful maneuvering, they find the location and Leah opens the door. This is where everything goes off the rails. What Leah sees is her roommate handing a gift to her boyfriend. At that moment, the game begins to glitch. The graphics distort, visual errors tear across the screen, and a jump scare cuts to black. But then the scene loops and resets. This time, you see Leah handing over the gift instead of her roommate. The game tells you that Leah and her boyfriend can continue enjoying their secret relationship in peace. When the game ends, it displays a summary of your completed objectives. Level 1, find all items. Level 2, finish baking without getting caught. Level 3, find Leah's boyfriend and get rid of the imposter. That last line was completely absent from the first two levels. It suddenly appears as if it had always been there. And just underneath, barely visible, is a mention of a fourth level. When you try clicking "Click here for more games," the entire user interface warps. The bright, friendly aesthetic vanishes, replaced by a pitch-black atmosphere, and on the game list, the phrase repeats endlessly, "Get rid of the imposter." You return to the main menu and notice something new. Selecting it causes the game to glitch out violently again, and you are thrust into the perspective of Rhea, the roommate. The game prompts, "It's Valentine's Day, and Rhea wants to bake cookies with her roommate." Unfortunately, Rhea's roommate has gone missing. Help her find her. The narrative flips. You are now Rhea, and Leah is the one who has vanished. You explore the kitchen and eventually make your way into Leah's room. On the floor, you find a discarded photo. It's a picture of Rhea and her boyfriend, but it's defaced and ruined. Leah's face has been crudely pasted over Rhea's, as if she were literally trying to erase Rhea from existence. Rhea panics, and suddenly, Leah appears right behind her. But Leah looks monstrous. Her avatar is warped, glitched, and corrupted. The game abruptly cuts to black, and the final screen reads, "The player found Leah, and now they can both bake cookies together." And that's how the game ends. So, what actually just happened? The mystery of this game is incredibly bizarre. Its true meaning is layered, but breaking it down leads to a chilling conclusion. Leah was actually severely obsessed with her roommate Rhea's boyfriend. He wasn't Leah's boyfriend at all. He belonged to Rhea. And Leah was living out a delusion, experiencing her own reality through a completely warped psychological lens. The game's constant demands to get rid of the imposter are a major giveaway. In her twisted mind, Rhea was the imposter, the intruder breaking up her imaginary relationship. But the truth was the exact opposite. Leah was the imposter invading Rhea's life. By giving you Ria's perspective in the secret level, the game finally exposes the objective reality. Leah wasn't a girl with a secret romance. She was a dangerous stalker living in a psychological fantasy. The genius of Leah's secret boyfriend is that it doesn't just spoon-feed you the truth. It stands as a perfect example of how psychological horror can be infinitely more effective than cheap jump scares or explicit imagery. Tell me, did you know about any of these games? Which ones did I miss? Let me know in the comments below.